Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blue Fire Dragon, and today we will be reading What If Deku Had Boosted Gear. Hope you enjoy. With that, let's get right into it. I was standing on the roof a few feet away from my idol, the number one hero himself, All Might. I remembered what I was doing and tried to muster up the courage I had, and I completely missed the cloud of steam surrounding him and revealing a skinny man. After I saw this, I completely freaked out and started rambling on where the real All Might was. "I assure you, I am All Might," he said. He then walked over to the railing, sat down, and pulled up his shirt, showing a nasty large scar. "I got this in a fight 5 years back. I asked that this knowledge was kept from the public." I thought back and it hit me. Was that in the fight with Toxic Chainsaw, wasn't it? All Might nodded. "You're smart if you know about that, but that punk couldn't keep me down." And that's when I asked my big question. Even though I'm quirkless, even though nobody says I can I still be a hero like you? I asked, hoping against all odds he would say yes. But there he was looking at me, like he was deciding on how to answer. He sighed and said, "Young man, I cannot simply say yes. There are villains that require you to have a quirk. I'm sorry." He walked to the door and paused. Then he said something that changed my life, for better or for worse. "It's not bad to have dreams, young man. It's also good to have a backup plan in case you can't reach that dream. I also have to ask you to keep what you saw here a secret. Don't go posting this online, even by accident." I stood there in silence. Here I was, told by the number one hero that I would need a quirk. But his message wasn't bad, and I knew that. I snapped out of it by an explosion not too far away. I walked down the stairs and started to run to where I don't know. That was until a second explosion went off, and I found myself at the scene of a villain attack. I listened to what the people were saying, and it was not good. "Why aren't those heroes doing anything? Come on, you can do it! Wasn't that the villain All Might was chasing? Seriously, All Might's here. Then he should be here, right?" At that, my heart stopped for a few seconds, and immediately knew it was my fault. I had wasted all of his time, and I grabbed his leg, and that had the sludge villain. It released him. I heard that the villain took a kid hostage. I hope he's okay. That did it for me. I nudged my way to the front of the crowd and saw the hostage. It was Kachan. Then he looked in my direction, and I could see his plea for help. My notebook dropped and my legs just started moving on their own. That's when the sludge villain noticed me. I threw my book bag and nailed him in the eye. The villain was angry, because he was interrupted yet again. "I'm done playing with you," and lashed out. The heroes rushed in, but then there was an explosion. When the dust settled, and I looked up, I saw that All Might intercepted the blow. I really am pathetic. I told you the traits to make a great champion. All Might yelled out and broke free from the villain's hand. But I see now that I wasn't living up to my own ideal. Pros are always risking their lives. That's the test of a true hero. He shouted louder and grabbed Kachan and me in one hand and made a fist in the other. "Detroit, smash!" And that with that he blew the villain away with a hurricane force wind. Later the remains of the villain were gathered up and delivered to the police safely. I was severely scolded while Kachan was praised for his bravery. Later on, I was walking home when I heard Kachum shouting at me. Listen, you nerd, I didn't ask for your help. I was just fine on my own. Don't think I owe you anything. Don't think that you can look down on me. You didn't do anything. Got that, Deku? And with that, he stomped off. He was right, of course. I didn't do anything good. If anything, I made things harder on the heroes by getting in the way. I turned around and All Might slid right in front of me. Here I am in front of you, he exclaimed. All Might, how are you here? I asked. He just laughed. I stand for justice, not sound bites. Because I am All Might. Blah. All Might deflated, coughed up some blood. Young man, I'm here with a correction, a suggestion, and a question, he said. I stood there, wanting to hear what he had to say. Young man, back at the scene, your legs moved before you ever thought about anything, correct? I nodded. And it was you, that young quirkless, you were braver than any other hero there, and it was you that compelled me to act. At this point, I started to tear up. Young man, you too can become a hero. I knelt down and started to cry when he said this to me. I deem you worthy to inherit my power. I looked up to see if he was serious. No pressure or anything, you just need to decide on whether or not you'll accept my power. This was a no-brainer answer. He came all this way to tell me this, even his big secret. I can't. I won't refuse. Yes, I'll do it, I said. Instant acceptance. That's what I thought. In 2 days, meet me at Dagobah Beach. I nodded, and we went our separate ways. Little did I know that villains would be the least of my worries. I was sleeping peacefully when suddenly I had this weird dream. It started in a green valley when everything was consumed in fire. That's when I heard a voice speak, loud and booming. So you can finally see me now, huh? I've been trying to speak with you for a while now. I was confused, but decided to make the most out of it. Who are you? I asked. I am the Red Dragon Emperor. I lived inside of you, but you were too weak to summon me, much less in a dream. I hung my head, but then straightened up. I'm going to get stronger, just you wait, I said, but then I remembered something and asked, why is your name the Red Dragon Emperor? If the dragon eyebrows had raised them. My name is Drake. And with that, the fire parted to reveal a giant red dragon. I felt a tug on the back of my head, and that's when I woke up in my bed. On the day I was supposed to meet All Might. I got up and got dressed. I had some breakfast and headed out the door to the beach. I saw All Might standing, surrounded by trash in his muscular form. When I called out to him, he motioned me to come, and so I did. Good you're here. I did some online research and found out that this place has been like this for a long time. People use this place for illegal dumping, because the current brings trash from the ocean. I knew that, but I didn't know why he brought me here, unless he didn't want me to be seen in public. That case, this was a good spot. You'll restore this entire section in 10 months before the UA entrance exams, he said while gesturing around him. And it was at that moment that my 10 months of hell began. Izuku for the next 10 months cleaned the beach. He pulled lockers, pushed tires, and carried TVs. At home he did 35 push-ups and curled weights. He started eating more, and at school he started out tired, but he didn't let that stop him. At night he jogged 4 miles. Back at the beach, he moved more trash, tried to push a truck but kept sliding through the sand. Back at school he was exercising under his desk while taking notes. At home, he was doing more push-ups and added more weight. At the beach, he trained so hard he puked. 5 months in his training, something happened. He was at home when a bright light shined on his left hand. A gauntlet with a big emerald sphere on it. To say he was shocked was an understatement. He ran to his mother and showed her what was on his hand. "Oh, I'm so proud of you, honey," she said. Izuku decided to show All Might tomorrow before training. Time skip. I was standing at a much cleaner beach when young Midoriya came running up to me, and I noticed something on his left hand. A red gauntlet with an emerald sphere and yellow, sword-like spikes on the sides. I was curious to know if this was his quirk, so I decided to investigate. "Young Midoriya, you said you didn't have a quirk, and yet you have that on your hand." I nodded to the gauntlet on his hand, and he got wide-eyed. "No, no, no, this is just appeared last night. I have no idea why or how this is here," he frantically explained. I nodded. "Well, hurry on and continue as we have young Midoriya. You don't want to get behind, do you?" He shook his head and started his training. His training is rushed, I'll admit it. But with that gauntlet, I have no doubt in my mind he will be the best of the best. Then, when I pass on one for all to him, I will slowly become weaker and weaker until I retire. My job complete. Yeah, that's deep, I thought as I watched him clean. I was looking off somewhere deep in thought when I saw a young lady sitting at a bench behind the railing. And I looked where she was looking and figured out why she was here. She wanted to know who was cleaning up the beach, little by little. The reason I know that people want to know was because I was at a coffee shop last month and heard people talking about it. I was also caught in my buff form, and some reporters asked me about it. Of course, I laughed and said that whoever was doing it was doing a good job and should keep it up. And for the whole month, I could see people picking up trash off the streets and throwing it away. Anyway, she was looking at young Midoriya when she got up and walked off without saying anything. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today. Hope you liked the video. Uh, but before we end it here, I'd just like to say I am sorry for any background noise or any stuttering that you may hear on my part. I'm really new to this, so I hope you guys can forgive me. Um, Also, I do apologize for the watermark. Uh, Ryan, who was supposed to be the editor for the video, wasn't available, so I had to improvise, and you can all see how well that went. But I'd say I did a good enough job. Uh, if you like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you really want to hear more. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.